So this one I decided to do because I thought it was pretty cool to take Tony Gwynn, who is considered basically a contact hitter. And if you talk to a lot of people and ask about him, they'll probably tell you that I know at least in recent history, they would speak about how he would chop down on the ball and just slap the ball the opposite way. And I know that people would discuss him going through the 5-6 hole a lot and hitting on the weak side and behind or to the opposite field and things like that. I remember watching Tony as a kid. I unfortunately can't remember a whole ton, and it would be great and very interesting to look at data on where his swings went. But needless to say, he's got a tremendous swing, and bat control obviously was the name of his game. And I found these two swings online, and one is a home run on a high ball, and the other one is a low ball where it looks like he gets fooled a little bit and he's a little out front. So I decided to break these down. So I'm just going to play him through all the way first before we get into a little breakdown and discussion about the importance of adjustability and not necessarily perfect quote-unquote swing mechanics. So here we have a high pitch that is a home run, and you can see he's got a little bit of a forward move controlled by that rear hip, and he rotates behind that imaginary wall, comes through. And what I like about this is, I'm going to go back and just play it. What I like about this is just how much that back foot moves, a la Frank Thomas getting out there. And we'll briefly discuss that. Now, in this one, it's a low ball. And if you look at it a little bit quicker, it looks like he's chopping and just kind of throwing that bat head out there. But when we break it down, you'll see that that's not technically the case. And I can understand why on that last swing, anybody watching it in full speed in game situation would really probably think that he's shifting his weight from his back leg onto his front leg, chopping down the classic what people would say would be the Charlie Lau swing. So with this swing here, you can see, I'm just going to show you his center of mass here with the green circle. Oops. So that's about where his center of mass is. And then here's his stride, and you're going to see it move forward right there. So his center of mass is moved to about right there. So he's moved everything forward. Now, as we talked about in some of our other videos, we've got that imaginary line here where the hips and the front shoulders stop moving. And if you look at his hands, right there behind the back shoulder, and then as we go through the swing, as he starts to rotate behind that imaginary line, those hands are now starting to come forward. Now he brings those forward a little bit earlier than some of the other swings that we've broken down. So he's got a little bit maybe more bat control because of that. But you can see that he's keeping space with his hips and he's rotating into that front leg. Now if we go backwards, before that weight shift, when he loads his hip, right here, when he loads that hip there, he's got that little crease. He internally rotates there on that back hip. He comes through. Now, as he opens the hips, you can see the hip extension on the back leg, and he is rotating into back leg extension. He's not pushing off that back foot. He's pulling that back foot off the ground. And because that front side, if we backtrack, because he's got such a good, strong front side, that back foot comes up off the ground on that high ball. Now, if you watch those hips as they open, once they get open, they stop, they decelerate. And that deceleration is also aiding in that back foot gaining so much ground. So you can see that back foot on the ground right here, and we can see how much ground that gains because of his ability to use that front side and to decelerate his hips. So in this swing, he stays upright, and he actually loses, I don't know if lose is the right term, because he uses a posture that he needs to get to the ball. But you can see his forward bend here, and because that ball is high and he keeps those hands high, he's hitting it in a more upright position here. And we can also see that barrel, like we see in so many other cases, that barrel's working back, down, and then up to the ball. Back, down, and then up through the ball at contact. So now on this next swing, we'll see the same thing with this weight shift. We'll see a center of mass. We'll see a center of mass shift forward. Very small shift here, but he shifts it forward. He's in his launch position right here. You can see the back hip internally rotated. That back leg is adducting a little bit. The hands are back behind the shoulder. And then from here, it's a low ball, and you can see the hands track down. And that back shoulder is tracking down as well. And that front shoulder is working backwards. And because he is out in front, he's reaching a little bit. And what I wanted to break down here about this adjustability is as he gets into launch, even as he gets into connection here with his hands right at his back shoulder, here, you can see that front knee is bent. If he locks that front knee and if he is living on that back hip and turning his pelvis turning his femur inside of his pelvis instead of using his pelvis to lead the swing, what's going to happen is that front leg is going to stiffen up and he's not going to have the adjustability to get to this pitch. But he holds off. And the interesting thing here is his ability to posture down as opposed to the other swing where he had to almost posture up to get to the high ball. And the other interesting thing is if you watch the bat, it's working back, down, and as it comes through contact, it is working up through the ball. So he's here, here, here. That vertical bat angle almost looks like it could be negative 90 degrees. I'm sure it's not quite that much, but he's turning that bat head basically like a Ferris wheel right up the middle. Completely different, or very different, not completely, a very different bat turn than from that high ball. And the interesting thing between these two swings, as I mentioned before, is his ability to adjust. The ability to adjust is far greater than the ability to have, quote unquote, picture perfect textbook mechanics. So if you can control the swing, control the stride, control the weight shift, forward move with that back hip, if you can start the swing by launching that back knee or back hip and internally rotating at the back hip, create extension through rotation, use that front side properly with the bent front leg into the launch position, and then rotate into lead front leg, you can have adjustability to be able to handle this high ball and to handle what was probably not just a low ball, but by the way that he reacts on this pitch, something that's off speed that he was fooled on. So his ability to control his body starts with his ability to maintain lower body positioning, starts with pelvic control, and moves into the ability to control that spine. So those things are key aspects when we're trying to build a swing, not just having a textbook, picture-perfect mechanical swing, but the ability to control the body and adapt the body into positions where you can deliver the barrel to the ball, because the name of the game is delivering the barrel to the ball and hitting the ball as hard as you can on each pitch you swing at.